I really need to start with Larry Allen. Larry was a teammate of mine for 3 years at Dallas, and man, I'm like everybody, man. Thoughts and prayers go out to his family. Um, Anybody that was around Larry will tell you. I mean, what an unbelievable dude he was. What an unbelievable human being. Unbelievable teammate. And then his play on the field speaks for itself. He was a rare player. And so I just can't believe it. And anyway, I'm really thinking about his family. But what an outstanding human being LA was, man. So I just wanted to start with that. As it pertains to, to this week, the vet minicamp, we're really kind of on the back end of this now. I really want to get 3 really good days with the veterans here, and then after that continue to develop the young players. So this will kind of be it for the vets, and we'll have a red zone day, but really just continue now with our situational football, some of the unscripted stuff, first, second, third, red zone, backed up. Some of the special teams will be involved a little bit. So just kind of putting it all together here for the last 3. We've gotten better every week, and so we just need to take another step here in the spring. So it's been good for us. Questions?
You mentioned the schedule. You probably explained this early on, but can you just explain why you do that minicamp this week instead of next? I know it's about a third of the league that doesn't matter.
To me, the thought is I wanted to get 9 good practices with the vets. And so I would rather, man, they've been here working from day one, and let's get this in. We've got this really, call it 6-7 week period, or, 8 week period here. And so to me, man, they come in, they put the work in, they've been here, then we're good. We can get that work done in those 8 weeks. And so they don't need to be here week 9. And now we can focus on the young guys for 1 more week. Without the vets being around. Sometimes you'll get some questions you wouldn't have gotten with them. You get a little extra work, and so I just think it's good for us.
Do you have 3 or 4 practices next week?
Well, we have 4 on the docket, but we're not going to use all those.
And is there a reason why you're not with the young guys?
Yeah, well, I think that we'll do an offensive, defensive. We'll do a special teams on Tuesday, and then we're just going to have them work with Mike Clark and Schuler and those guys in the weight room. And so a lot of it is you can't do full team. Like, if you're going to cut most of the vets loose, then we don't have enough. But we'll still get good work, fundamentals, individual. It's still a chance to develop.
One of the highlights of this team last year was just the tight end usage. The last couple of years, obviously you was a former tight end yourself. Just your philosophy on using the tight end. Can you speak about the importance of that position to this team?
Yeah, well, the more versatile your tight ends are, mentally but physically. They have to be able to do both. You have to have flexibility, physically to line up, to be able to block a point, come back on the backside. You got to be able to one-on-one pass block a defensive end. You're going to have to be able to handle the route tree. But the more you've got flexibility in those positions between the mental and the physical, I just feel like it opens up your offense. Man, it allows you to do so much more than without. And so that's the beauty of tight ends because of the job description, because of them, if they can do it and be good at it, the pass game, the pass protection game, and the run game, to me, it gives you so many options. It's hard for a defense to plan for you, and that's why it's important.
I want to ask you about one of your young players, Brendan Joseph. He was on your practice squad almost all of last year. He's getting some time with the first team just with some of the injury situations you had. What did you see from him in that first year development, and what does he have to do maybe to earn a roster spot come fall?
So we every year we get to the end of the year and we look at these guys. And we say, all right, who developed? Who do we need to keep working with? Who's got room to grow? Bijo is one of those guys who noticeably improved last year. He didn't get a chance to play in the season necessarily. I mean, we had him up but to play defensive reps, He's kind of one of those, boy, you wish you could have gotten him up, though. Like that, there was a comfort level by the end of the year, like, man, this guy we think could probably go in there and hold his own a little bit. And so that's a good sign. And so there has been noticeable growth from him last year. And then I would tell you, even in this spring, he's improved. So he's a young guy that we like a lot, and he puts the work in. He's smart, he's crafty. In this defense, man, if you can understand conceptually what an offense is doing and understand your freedom you have it doesn't mean you go rogue, but the freedom you have at the safety position. So if you're a crafty, smart guy and you have instincts, man, you can thrive at the safety position in our defense. And so you really see him coming along here. And there again, we're not in pads. This is early, but there is growth. We like where he's at right now.
Ton of picks for him in college. I think 10 over the last 3 years. I mean, does that speak to the intelligence?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, I think it's intelligence, but it's instincts too, right? He's got a knack for, man, he can kind of play off the quarterback here. He can get a feel of where his help's at, manipulate the quarterback a little bit. And so he certainly has that. And now it's just growth within our system.
Dan, Jill in sports science, what does she do for this team? Can you just kind of share some of her contributions?
Jill she's got about 1,000 hats. Let me start there. And so you want me I can't give you one thing. I can give you multiple. Not only does she work in sports science, all right, which she is the one who's giving us all the data post-practice and what we can handle, what we can't, where we're at, but also she works in the weight room. All right, so she's down there when we're doing cleans, we're doing warm-up, we're doing dynamics, we're doing squats, she's coaching. And so those are just a couple of things that she helps us with. And so she's versatile. I mean, she's a versatile coach. I mean, when you're able to be a legit strength coach but also work in the sports science department for us, I mean, and that was one of Mike Clark's visions of her when we were able to we're fortunate to have her, was just that. Her versatility was going to be big for us. So she's an asset.
Speaking of versatility, Amik Robertson is a guy over the last couple of years. He's played both outside and inside.
Yep.
Kind of rare, especially for a guy his size. Is that one of the things that really attracted you guys to him, was just the ability to pretty much play anywhere in the secondary, play at a pretty high level?
That was I would say that was part of it. The first thing was his competitiveness. You just said, I don't care if he's inside or outside, the guy competes. I mean, he is a feisty, competitive, challenging corner who has versatility to play in and out. And so, yeah, that's always going to appeal to us. You know, the more flexibility you have in and out is always going to, because you can do more jobs, right? It's easier to get you to the game. But the first thing that pops off the tape is how much he challenges and competes. I mean, there was no denying that. So we knew he'd fit right in here with us.
Dan, with Giovanni Manu, just what have you seen from him as far as is his head still swimming, that leap from where he's come from small school to here? And what's the biggest challenge for someone like that when you play such a technical position? And will you see his true self more when the pads come?
Yeah, he's swimming. He is swimming. He should, but we expected him to be swimming, and we fully expected for this to get worse before it ever gets better. And so he's trying to find his way. I mean, we're back to the basics of, man, just how you get in the stance properly, where your weight goes when you get out of his stance, where your help is. Certainly the scheme, the mic, working with others, working with the tight end in this combination, working with the guard, pass and twist. He's just in the infant stages of, here we go. So we're literally working from the ground up. And we knew it was going to be that way, Here's what we know. The guy has got it in his body, and he's willing to work. And it'll always be pivotal that we just keep his confidence at such a level where he just come back to work. Just keep putting in the work. Just work on this thing today and get a little bit better today at this. And so that I think that's going to be the trick. And it always is with a developmental type guy, is they don't lose confidence and they begin to question themselves. And I don't know if I can really do that. And so we just keep working with him. And so, look, I anticipate we're going to have a guy that when we come into camp, it's going to take a dip. And then we're going to start seeing signs of life here. Now when, I don't know, but it'll come. You got to break them down and then and build them back up, and that's what Hank's doing right now.
Is it fair to expect a contribution from him this year, or could it be kind of a redshirt year for him?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to say, hey, we're going to get him this year, by middle of the season, and that would be great. And that's always going to be the goal: is how fast can we get one of these guys to where they're contributing and helping us. But we also knew what we were requiring, and so we're prepared to take this as it comes. Whenever he's ready, and that's okay. If that doesn't mean it's this year and it's next year, great. But certainly we're trying to push to get him ready now. I mean, that'll always be the goal with these guys.
Dan, you've answered a couple
Yes, sir, Dan.
questions about the secondary. With all the talent that you've added there and all the versatility that you have there, you feel like you guys are kind of wide open and figuring this thing out in terms of what the best way to deploy everybody is?
Yes. It's a great place to be in. It's a great place to be in. We have so many options right now, so much competitiveness. AG and we're talking about it again. AG and I were the other day. Brad and I are talking about it every evening. I mean, it's like, the talent level, the competitiveness, the versatility. Like, honestly, we have no idea who our starting lineup's going to be right now, and it's exciting. It's so good. Like, there's no telling who's going to be our outside corners, who's going to be our nickel, who's going to be our safeties. I mean, this thing is wide open across the board, and it's going to be great to let these guys compete and just go after it and see who goes and is going to be the most reliable guys for us, most dependable. So it's exciting.
At different stages of this.
Over the course of the spring, what have you learned about bets?
About bets,
Yeah.
I would tell you there's there again, we're in pajamas, but there's more versatility to this guy than I think I even realized. There's a couple of things we're doing in coverage with him that that wasn't his deal. He just got after the quarterback, period, and we're asking him to do some things kind of at the Sam linebacker position in base to where he's a rush, but he's also dropping in coverage. He's matching a little bit. And I tell you what, he's got some pretty good hips for a big man, and he can run. And he's smart. So there's some versatility there.
Special teams too.
And special teams, yes, sir.
Justin, last one.
Different stages of the offseason, you, Brad, and Ben Johnson have mentioned Antoine Green's kind of development, and so I'm just curious. We didn't get to see a lot of him on the field, in the practice field after training camp last year. So where's he shown the growth that gives you confidence that you can do
Well,
better?
I would love to say, I think that's another one of those, like you asked about Bijo. I would say AG was another guy. By the end of the year, we felt improvement. There was a noticeable difference from the time he walked in here to the end of this season, just what he was doing on scout team for us. And he played a little bit at the end of the year, but those targets were going other places. But we saw significant growth. We saw speed. We saw speed on the releases. A smart football player, knew the offense. And so really, having high hopes, came in early this camp. Now, he had a little bit of an injury last week, so we didn't get to really see him. He'll be back up doing a little bit of individual and stuff. So it's hard to say, that progress is on hold because we weren't able to get him out there last week. But certainly we like the player, and there's enough let's see what happens in camp. He's another guy. Let him go compete. Hammer, what do you got?
Dan, you kind of alluded to the schedule and the way that you set it up for specific reasons. Are you looking for guys to kind of continue going up on a trajectory of engagement and energy at this point in the season?
Well, I think that's hard to say. I mean, the energy level, you got to be careful, right? Because you turn it up too much, then you can't be. None of this can be live, right? As we know, that's what spring. So you got to be careful. And that's the hard thing is you don't want to coach bad habits into them. You're constantly telling them to back off, slow down, and that's the opposite of what we're trying to do around here. So we got to be careful with that. But I do think, man, the knowledge, the handling the pressure of the situation that we're in, the mental side of it, the psychological side of it, I think is very important. And that's where you get the most out of all this is really from that right now. Okay, thanks.